Hello everyone, I am Poonam from RK Memorial Senior Secondary School. Today we are going to discuss the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. We have done what is respiration. Respiration means the breakdown of the oxidative breakdown of the respiratory substrate. And what is the respiratory substrate in our body? That is the glucose. So, the oxidative breakdown of glucose inside the body is called respiration. Now, there are two types of respiration. First one is aerobic, and the second one is anaerobic respiration. Aerobic, air, air means oxygen. ठीक है, AER, air means oxygen, and an means absence. So aerobic respiration is the respiration which takes place in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration is the respiration which takes place in the absence or lack of oxygen. Whether there can be the complete absence of oxygen or in the sufficient supply of oxygen also. The second point is The second point is it occurs, glucose is completely broken down. And in anaerobic, there is incomplete breakdown of glucose. That means the glucose is incompletely broken down. The third point is it occurs in cytoplasm as well as in mitochondria. Means aerobic respiration takes place partially in the cytoplasm and partially in the mitochondria. But the anaerobic respiration takes place only in the cytoplasm. There is no involvement of mitochondria in it. The next difference is when aerobic respiration takes place, then total 38 ATP molecules are formed, but in case of anaerobic respiration, only 2 ATP molecules are formed. In the previous class, we have done that what is the ATP? ATP is the energy currency of the cell. Just like the Indian currency is rupees and we are using the currency to buy some things. So this ATP is the energy currency of the cell. That means the cell will use the currency to do some work. And what is the full form of ATP? The full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate. A for adenine, T for tri, P for phosphate. What is the next point is it releases 686 kilocalorie of energy. But in case of anaerobic respiration, the energy released will be 36 to 50 kilocalorie. Next point is the end products are CO2 and H2O only. That means carbon dioxide and water will be released as the end product. But in case of anaerobic respiration, the end products are alcohol and lactic acid. So these are the differences between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Now we will discuss what happens during this respiration, means an aerobic and anaerobic respiration. The process the process is called glycolysis. The word glyco refers to glucose and the word lysis means breakdown. So the process of breakdown of glucose is called glycolysis. Now how this glycolysis takes place in aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So what happens now, this glucose whose formula is C6H12O6, that means it is a 6 carbon compound. Firstly, in cytoplasm, this glucose, this carbon 6 compound will form the pyruvate. This pyruvate is a 3-carbon compound. Now after this pyruvate can be broken down as aerobically or anaerobically. Now the first is in the presence of oxygen. In the presence of oxygen means aerobic respiration. During this aerobic respiration, this pyruvate will convert into CO2, H2O and 38 molecules of ATP, or we can say 686 kilocalorie of energy. In case of anaerobic respiration, which takes place either in the absence, that means if there is absence of oxygen, or lack of oxygen. If there is complete absence of oxygen, that means in case of yeast cells, and in the lack of oxygen, this type of respiration takes place in the muscles. During the complete absence of oxygen, this pyruvate will convert into alcohol plus CO2 plus energy. A. You can remember it by using this A for absence, A for alcohol. And which alcohol will be formed? That is ethanol. Ethanol will be formed. And during the lack of oxygen inside the muscles, that means when we are doing the exercise, at that time during the exercise there will be the lack of oxygen, and at the lack of oxygen you can also remember this by using this L for lac, L for lactic acid. So lactic acid plus energy will be formed in this type of respiration. So this is the aerobic respiration, and these two parts are for anaerobic respiration in the absence of oxygen and in the lack of oxygen. So this is all about the glycolysis process, and this glycolysis means the breakdown of glucose in cytoplasm. This pyruvate will be formed in cytoplasm, but this aerobic respiration takes place in mitochondria. These two processes are takes place in cytoplasm only. There is no involvement of mitochondria in it.